start with the Rams. We got the Rams at 10.5, minus 125 to the under, plus 105 to the over. Have them favored in 12 games. McVay is 4-1 to the over, and the average margin by which they win their win total bets is plus 1.9. So they've been going over by about 2 wins per year in McVay's 5 seasons. What do you think about them coming off the Super Bowl win?
Yeah, I was like, the Rams are probably going to be overvalued. We're going to get to the 49ers. I mean, pretty fortunate year for the Rams last year when you consider that Tart, who I think is on the Eagles, dropped an interception that would have sent the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Is Jimmy G still the quarterback? What are the thoughts on the Rams and what they? That's the NFL. It's the beauty of the NFL playoffs. But I was like, yeah, the Rams are probably going to be overvalued. But no, I mean, what's their win total? 10.5. I have them right there. The biggest question for me is, there's some depth questions. The defense is extremely star heavy. And Matt Stafford's health, that's certainly a question. Cam Akers as well. I do like the addition of Allen Robinson. But I have questions about this offensive line, Stafford's health, and some positions on defense. Obviously, they have some of the best players in the NFL, which make that unit very formidable, as we saw last year. But I think there's more questions than answers with the Rams, but still a good team. Still expect them to go to the playoffs. I project them right around 10.5. The Stafford injury is something certainly worth monitoring, because if he just isn't 100%, or at any point you have to go to John Wolford, I believe, is their backup still, then it's lights out. Which is something to consider for some of these other long shots to make the playoffs we've talked about. Like if Stafford isn't healthy, and some of these top teams that we assume are going to make the playoffs, I'll tell you right now, we never want to wish injury. The injuries happen to quarterbacks. Stafford goes down, the Rams are done. If Brady goes down, the Bucs are done. And if Prescott goes down, the Cowboys are done. Yeah, I have some questions with the Rams, but I don't show any value either way. There's a lot. Also, when we're talking about the West, I'm not going to spend too much time. I don't think I have. Let me double check. Yeah, I don't have any bets on the West win totals or division, and a lot of that is because of the uncertainty surrounding Stafford's injury, Seattle's quarterback situation. Now the rumors are hot that Jimmy G's ending up there. And then San Fran's quarterback situation with Trey Lance. It's like, what are you going to get with San Francisco, which we'll talk about in a second. But you might have Jimmy G going from San Fran to Seattle. I think that would significantly upgrade the quarterback position for them. And then you also have Arizona, who is just if I can't wait to talk about them, just a funny team. But there's a lot of moving parts and uncertainty in this division, specifically at the quarterback position. Even throwing something like Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games for Arizona. That's when Arizona's like good too, which is bizarre. And then I got nothing here on the Rams. But things could go. They had no top 100 picks. It's like I think they got worse in the offseason. But they're still a solid team, and I don't show any value in the win total.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Rams, it's kind of, you trust Sean McVay, but like you said, Stafford already being a little bit banged up is not ideal, because this team is very like stars and scrubs. They have very good top level talent: Stafford, Kupp, Donald, Ramsey, Jordan Fuller, Leonard Floyd. O-line is decent, but when you start looking at the depth, no wonder McVay doesn't play anybody in the preseason. Can't afford to lose anybody. So yeah, just too much variance with this team. And I think last year was the time to invest in the Rams. Like now coming off the Super Bowl, I mean, they're not sneaking up on anybody.
Yeah, look, and last year, like you mentioned, what did they have overall? And then towards the end of the year, with the team that doesn't have depth, injury luck. They had good injury luck last year. They can't afford, a key injury to one, because they are star driven. They can't afford a key injury to a Cup, a Stafford, a Donald. Otherwise, the situation gets pretty dire pretty quick.
San Francisco, the win total is 10. It's minus 110 on both sides. They, as it seems like they always are, had the fourth worst injury luck last year, 29th in adjusted games lost. Still managed to get to the NFC Championship game. I have them favored in 10 games, so right on par with their win total. Shanahan's just 2-3 with these win totals. Another team, just a lot of variance. I actually do believe in Trey Lance. I really like what Shanahan's doing with this offense. I don't think a lot of people realize just how crazy like this scheme is. Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are getting like 8+ yards after the catch, but their average catch point is like 8-9 yards down the field. So like most teams, they need to throw a screen pass, a bubble screen to get 8-9 yards after the catch. They're averaging that and catching the ball right by the marker. So like he's designed a scheme to get like, downfield yards after catch. I really like what he's doing, but obviously Lance is still improving. I think he'll be all right. But still the Rams are still in this division. We don't know what's going on with the Seahawks, if they're going to get an upgraded quarterback. The Cardinals are, they could be anything from like 11-win team to a 5-win team. So I don't really show any value on the Niners either. What about you?
Yeah, I think they got. I think they got worse from last year. Obviously, the big wild card is Trey Lance, and he introduces more variance for the offense. Jimmy G is like, okay, you know what you're going to get. You're going to beat the teams you should, but Lance obviously brings another dimension to this offense. And Shanahan, he did lose his offense coordinator. He lost a number of guys on the staff, but he's the brainchild behind that offense. The San Francisco offense is gonna fuck, for the lack of a better term. So yeah, I mean, you got Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell. I didn't like their draft. I think they didn't have a first round draft pick first time since 1996, and then they drafted a running back in the second round.
Yeah, Ty Davis Price.
Which, I mean, they have Sermon, you have Wilson, you have Mitchell. I think there was other areas in need that they could have addressed, but I'm not an NFL GM. I did think the offensive line got worse. There's major questions on the offensive line. I mean, Trent Williams is still one of the best, but he's 35, and you start to worry about injuries at that point. But the interior offensive line, major questions there. Your right tackle's coming back from surgery. So the offensive line could take a major step back and then throw a huge wrench into this offense. Now, I know you have Kittle and Juszczyk, who are elite blockers, which helps. But this offensive line has major questions. And then the defensive side of the ball, you love the defensive line. You lost your run stuffing D tackle. You need Kinlaw, he's talented, but can he stay healthy? He's kind of crazy. You need him to step up, but you like your edge rushers. Moving Armstead inside really helped that defense, and he was awesome once they moved him in the second half of the year. Obviously, you have one of the best edge rushers of Bosa. You're really set at linebacker, led by Fred Warner. The secondary, they're what did they do in the offseason? I mean, they basically just got Ward. That's it, right? Like this team. You got worse in the offensive line, and you're replacing Jimmy G with Lance to create more variance, and Lance could be a better fit. I would argue, for this offense, but that's pretty much it. You just signed Charvarius Ward, which, you get Mosley back. You hope that the secondary can stay healthy. They're always hurt, but you're going to be relying on 2 4th and 5th round draft picks from last year at your slot and 1 safety spot, in who I think Lenore and Hufanga, who are probably going to start at safety and slot corner. Jimmy Ward is still one of the most underrated safeties in the NFL, but there's some potential holes in the secondary. Now, the front should help, and especially if they can stay healthy, the pressure that they're able to generate. But I am most concerned about the offensive line. Hard team to project. I'm at like 9-3, 9-4, just because it comes down to I'm going to be adjusting quickly. For Lance, there's probably going to be a learning curve, right? And he's probably going to get better if he is the guy. But there's also just a chance of disaster too. If things go bad, then Jimmy G's he's not going to be he doesn't have a playbook because I assume he's going to Seattle. That's for everything that I've heard. He's going to Seattle. So then you're down to like Nate Sudfeld is your next option. So yeah, the offensive line is my biggest concern. And then obviously it's like, do you believe in Lance? And if you do, you're probably going to really like the 49ers. If you don't, you're not going to like them. I'm still up in the air. I think that he's going to thrive eventually in this Shanahan system, but I think it might take some time, and especially with questions on the offensive line.
I'm higher on the 49ers than you, but I just think their schedule is tough. Like I don't really have many questions about Lance. Like obviously we've only seen him a couple of times, but I think that this scheme is brilliant, and I think the fact that it's built on yards after the catch and you're throwing to Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle really makes a big difference. And the O-line, yes, it's a concern, but it would be like 3 times more concerning if it was Jimmy G. I mean, this is Trey Lance. That's the whole point. Like he doesn't need like a like tip-top offensive line to get it done, especially in the scheme. He's going to be able to use his legs when he needs to. And I actually think the secondary could be pretty good. I thought Ward was a really good fit for them. That was the guy I kind of predicted that they would sign. And Samuel Womack, the 5th round pick, I think he was. He's playing really well in the preseason, so maybe he could give him something. So they could have a really dominant defense. And I don't really worry too much about Lance, but this schedule, it's just like it's like feast or famine. It's like they start with Chicago and Seattle, but then they got Denver and the Rams, and then it's Carolina, Atlanta, but then you got the Chiefs, the Rams, and the Chargers, and then Cardinals, Saints, Miami, Tampa Bay. So the schedule is just it's one of those teams that they could another one. I think they could lose 9-10 games and they can win 9-10-11-12 games. It's there's just too much variance for me. I think another team that last year was probably a little bit better of a year to invest in them. I just think the schedule could go either way.
I do like that a lot of the 2 things I do like about the schedule is a lot of wit, like, and if you want to bet the over, but I like this with a young quarterback too, a lot of winnable road games. So a lot of their hardest, although the 49ers suck at home, but whatever. I don't know what that's about. Their fans think the stadium's cursed, but they're at the Bears, and this is also I like that you have a young quarterback, some moving pieces on the offensive line. You start at Bears, home against Seattle. That's a good way to get your feet wet. But your road games are like at Chicago, at Denver, which will be tough, at Carolina, at Atlanta. And obviously you have to go play at the Rams, but that's basically a home game. And then you're at Seattle, at Vegas, another maybe quasi home game. So I like their road schedule, especially for a young quarterback. But you're really drinking the 49ers Kool-Aid if you're counting on Womack, the 5th round rookie, to come in.
Hey, man,
this a dominant take.
Yeah, I've seen crazy. Like this is one of those organizations, man. They just find guys. I just think this team it could be a really quality team. I know they went to the NFC Championship last year. I actually do think they could be better this year. It just depends. Like obviously Lance just unlocks an element of the offense that they haven't had, and I just talked about Shanahan's been scheming these guys catching the ball downfield with room to run. Now you have a guy that can actually just get it downfield conventionally. I don't think the line is going to be as big of an issue with him, and I actually think the secondary. Forget about Womack. I still think Ward Mosley is a good combo.
Ambry Thomas started playing better. Lenore up and down, but he was a rookie. Hufanga with that one safety spot will be a question. But yeah, I mean Verrett just went on the PUP list, but they have some other
as usual.
They have some other guys, some younger guys and better depths. There's definitely potential there. And like we said, the defensive line helps out when you have a really good, front 6 or 7 getting pressure. It helps out your secondary.
Like if Trey Lance is good, like we should have got it the opposite way too. Obviously looked at the downside, but like if Trey Lance is good and mitigates, the potential issues on the interior of the offensive line, which it's not not out of the question that could happen. This could be one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, that like the rest of the roster just up and down. I mean, it's going to be hard to target them on defense. You're going to really have to pick your spots, like targeting like a specific player or area of the field. Like it's going to be tough. So yeah, I like the Niners upside. I might look into them on some upside bets or something. I still don't love their home schedule, but you made a good point about them going on the road. A lot of winnable road games. I don't think I've ever seen a team with 5 straight home games either. Is that a record?
I think that the Arizona game might be in Mexico.
Oh, okay. That's got to be what it is. Because yeah, I'm just looking at the ESPN schedule and it just says versus. It doesn't give the location.
Yeah, I think the Arizona game's a neutral.
Okay.
But yeah, we have one road game and it's against Seattle in November and December. Yeah, the offensive line, I could see it working, but they cannot they need McGlinchey to come back healthy at right tackle. You can't have Trent Williams get hurt. There's some things that if anything goes wrong on that offensive line, it gets ugly quick. I think you have I don't even know their backup left tackle is McKivitz. It can get ugly quick.
Yeah, well, as long as Kyle Shanahan's not sending Williams in motion to crackback block on a quarterback sneak, we should be good. All right, Arizona Cardinals, 8.5 is their win total, -110 on both sides. I got him favored in 7 games. Cliff Kingsbury has not lost a win total yet. He's 2-0 with one push, 2-0 with one push. I could see the Cardinals going under this one. Like if I had to choose any of these teams to bet an under on, it's probably going to be the Cardinals out of the teams we talked about in this division. But what say you?
Yeah, I project them at 8. I mean, this is just a 500 team. Get off to a fast start in Kingsbury fashion, but you don't have Hopkins to start the year, and then crash and burn late. This team is kind of they just bore me. I know that I'd laugh at them, but I didn't like what they did this past off season. It's just like the definition of a 500 team to me. So yeah. I think that when I look at their schedule, they have one of their home games is in Mexico against San Fran. But if you look at their other home games, and they were so they lose a home game to Mexico. They've been weird, bad at home. It's been very odd. But and I didn't like their draft, by the way. They traded for Marquise Brown, whatever, and his connection with Kyler, maybe that works out. But I didn't like their draft. And if you look at their home games, which this isn't going to help their win total, it's they're home against the Chiefs. Talk about a coaching mismatch to start the year. Home against the Chiefs to start the year. Then they're home against the Rams, home against the Eagles, home against the Saints. Then obviously you got to play the Seahawks. They get the Seahawks at home. Their home game against the 49ers is in Mexico. Then they're home against the Chargers, home against the Patriots, and home against the Bucks. That is as hard of a home schedule as you could ever imagine. Now that means they have winnable road games, at the Panthers, Seahawks, they're at the Vikings, they're also at the Rams. It's a sneaky, really tough schedule. And I had them with a 4th hardest schedule in the NFL. And you got to remember, you don't have Hopkins for the first 6. Not a fan of old Cliff. And the really tumultuous offseason with all this Kyler Murray stuff. I don't know. I could see it going sideways quick. It's under or nothing, but not enough for me to play. I'm at 7.9 wins.
Yeah, the more I look at this, I'm actually liking their under quite a bit because I had my eye on them because I only had them favored in 7 games, and it's kind of straightforward. I mean, they just have some tough home games and a few winnable road games: Carolina, Seattle, Atlanta. But you prefer it the other way. I don't want a team with
that Carolina and Seattle is without Hopkins. Those 2 games.
Yep, exactly. So I mean, this is like this could be as good as they were. And were they the last undefeated team last year? I believe it was. Like, and they're not that deep either. Like they have some depth concerns too. They lost Chandler Jones. Mentioned they're going to be without Hopkins, James Conner. There's a big drop off. After him at running back. They probably have one good. Not even. I mean, DJ Humphries, if you consider him good. I mean, the line really isn't great, top to bottom. I mean, it could get bad in Arizona. Yeah, I think I'm going to be on this under, especially because it's not juiced up or anything like that. I think Cliff finally goes under the total.
Maybe I'll join you.
You gotta fade. If I'm fading Cliff, you gotta fade.
Yeah,
Cliff.
I know. All right, I'm in for a little bit.
All right, and then we got the Seattle Seahawks to wrap it up. 5.5 plus 105 to the over, minus 125 to the under. You mentioned Jimmy could come here, so if you're into that kind of speculation, he'd be worth at least probably a win, if not more. Yeah. So 5.5, and you're getting plus money. So if you want to make that bet, feel free. Don't forget though, they still probably going to have a bottom 3 O-line. O-line's not going to be great. And they got pretty lucky when it came to injuries last year. They were 6th in adjusted games lost. I only have them favored in 4 games. So not super bullish on Seattle. I think there's going to be certain things about this team that go underrated. Like I think in fantasy, people are sleeping on Tyler Lockett. It's not only Russell Wilson that made him good, but and I think, Rashad Penny, for as long as he's healthy, could be interesting. But there's just I just don't. There's another team with just a lot of defensive weakness up the middle, I think. And I don't really see, outside of if you're betting on Jimmy coming there, why you would bet an over for Seattle.
Yeah, I do. I project them at Seattle 5.5 on the dot, and I just ran it with Jimmy G, and I have them. That would be worth right at one win.
Yeah.
So I would I do think he's going to be there. So I would lean over only on that basis. Obviously there's a chance that he doesn't go there as well. I would think that sad for him wouldn't want him to go there. But
well, they might have to cut him, right? If they cut him, that's it.
But you also have to remember that it's August 23rd, right? So is he even going to start right away? You got to learn the offense. It's not happening today or tomorrow even. So you got to keep that in mind as well. There's definitely going to be a major adjustment period going to a brand new offense. You're still going to have some inefficient play calling with Pete Carroll. The offensive line is going to be bad. There's some things I really don't like about this defense. And who's I can't even think of their is Artie Burns the starting cornerback for them?
I believe it is Artie Burns and Sidney Jones, who both actually Jones played well at times last year.
I don't mind Jones. I think Artie Burns is
he's been up and down. He had a good year in limited action last year. He was decent, but 2 really bad years, and he missed one too. So yeah, he's all over the place.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this team. I mean, this is a bad team. You still have a really good home field advantage, but there's some winnable games on here. You get the Falcons at home, and you're at the Lions. You get the Cardinals at home without Hopkins, the Giants at home. You get the Raiders at home, the Panthers at home, the Jets at home. So there's a shit ton of winnable games on this roster, even though they're in a really tough division. So I have them the 10th. Let's see. The 10th hardest schedule. And that's in the division of, when you're the Seahawks, and then you have the Rams, the 49ers, the Cardinals. So that means that their non-division games are pretty easy. And those ones I just listed, and you get them at home and with a pretty good home field advantage still. Those fans are still turn out. So like Jets, Panthers, Raiders, Cardinals without Hopkins, Falcons at home. Like those are 5 home games you could easily win. Then you're at the Lions. I didn't even mention the Giants. Like, so there's some wins on here. I project them at 5.5. If there's news that Jimmy G goes, and pull up your books fast and see if there's still a 5.5 out there, and I would bet it then. If not, it's a pass.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. That makes me like the Cardinals under even more, because if Jimmy G comes there, that just decreases the Cardinals win total a tiny bit too. So yeah, I think I'll be on the Cardinals under. My play, that's really gonna be my play. I think Saints, invest in the high upside bets with the Saints. Look at the division, look at the plus 125, I believe it is, to make the playoffs, and then Cardinals under. Those are my plays.
I can just give the nod of approval. I agree. Saints division, and I think you've convinced me on the Cardinals under. And then if you see Jimmy G news that he's going, see if you got a late book. Probably take some time for a win total to adjust. They don't take it down right away, and I would bet over 5.5 on the Seahawks.